Franny here, coming to you with some glasses on because I made a group of notes because I didn't want to leave anybody out in my favorite game that was in the Olympics, and that was the women's Olympic soccer team. I was just amazed at how the USA women maneuvered through the semifinals, all the matches prior to that. They just played with a determination that I haven't seen in a long time. So I want to break that down as both a coach, a spectator, and somebody who's a little bit knowledgeable about facts, and also want to give you some important facts and little bits of trivia that perhaps you didn't know. So I'll start with the front line of Mallory Swanson, Sophia Smith, and Trinity Rodman. They were unbelievable. One of the things that I liked the most about them is that they could change the pace of the game at any time. They just knew when to pull the trigger, and they knew when to stay back on defense. I think the most amazing thing about them was the fact, I think they call them triple threat. So they were interchangeable. They could go from one side to the other, and they liked each other. You can tell that by how they would jump on each other after there was a goal scored, and they were just having fun, and that's what their coach asked of them, to go out there and enjoy it, but have fun and also work your butt off. And that was a philosophy that came into this, and I'll discuss that a little bit more when I talk about the head coach, who is Emma Hayes. But along with that, they also had a great goalkeeper in Alyssa Naeher, sorry. And she was phenomenal. She only had 2 goals scored against her throughout the whole Olympics. And in the final game, it could have gone either way. We played against Brazil, so we got 1 goal was called back because it was offsides, and clearly she was offsides, thank goodness. And then she had a couple great saves where she just was able to tip it out. And they played with more determination than I've seen in several years now. Then you had, besides the goalkeeper, you had a great new player, Naomi Girma, and she's of Ethiopian descent. And she goes to Stanford. So number 1, she's smart. Number 2, Emma Hayes said she's the best defensive player she's ever seen. And in watching her, she didn't let anybody get past her. Her legs were so tired by the end of that final game. And she did have just a few slippages, but she made sure she caught up. I saw that fierce determination in her eyes. She wasn't going to let anybody by her, and she was just as physical as Brazil. Brazil is a very, very physical team, and what they set out to do was to impose their will on these young women, and just press them and push them and prodded them, did everything they could to disrupt their tempo. And the U.S. had a great game plan, and they just held their course. They just helped out on defense. Alyssa Naeher, she just stopped everything that was thrown at her until I think Brazil got tired of pressing. And when they did, then the U.S. just did exactly what they needed to do by making the correct passes and getting the people out in front. And then you had Mallory Swanson, who got the only goal of the game. And I think it was on a pass by Albert, but I'm not sure on that. So also, there was great balance defensively, and I really want to give kudos to Lindsay Horan, who was the captain of the U.S. team, and also Crystal Dunn. And they were 2 solid old-timers, and as Dunn said, she said, we're here to help the young people understand this game at this level, and they gave of themselves very freely. Crystal Dunn did a great job of taking everything that was thrown at her, and they tried to pick on her, but she wasn't going to allow it because Germer they were afraid of on the other side, but Dunn did just as well. And then they tried to get at both of them and forget about it. They weren't about to have any part of that, as well as the rest of the team. Albert did a great job. I can't think of some of the others, but it was definitely a team effort, and I love that. And so it was a team effort because it was led by a coach who believed in them from the get-go. And something that you don't know is, the U.S. team didn't make the World Cup. This is the first time that they did not end up with any medal, did not make it out of the play. I mean the quarterfinals. First time they had never done that. So when the coach resigned, this Emma Hayes came in, and Emma is just my kind of coach. She had to pick the team. She had to make some definite changes, and she chose not to have one of the better players in Morgan stick with the team. And it didn't surprise me because she wrote a book, and I know this is something most of you probably don't know. It's called To Kill the Unicorn. And To Kill the Unicorn, I believe, is primarily about that a team is not just as good as just the one player that they have. You must come together as a team and not just rely on one individual person. And that's exactly was her philosophy. It's what she carried out when she did not select Alex Morgan for the team. She was really harassed quite a bit. And but when you know her philosophy, in the past it's been really relying on Alex Morgan a little bit too much. And so with these three interchangeable forwards who just played the game and were faster than Snot, I'm telling you, I don't know how fast Snot is, but they were the fastest kids I've seen in a long, long time. But Emma Hayes came from England, and she then coached she coached Chelsea to about 7 championships, and then came to the U.S., and she had been in New York and been a manager there. She had been in Chicago, and I believe that's where Alyssa Naeher is from, that area, and she may have coached her, I'm not sure, but they were both in Chicago for that professional team. But these players came in, they trusted her, she had a sense of humor. She liked to say, I was born in England, but I was made in the USA. And that kind of says what she's like. And even when interviewed prior to big games or whatever, she said, I just asked my team to go out and have fun and do the things that they know how to do with each other. And that's what it was all about. But she's also my kind of coach in that she stood that whole time just encouraging her team. And you could just see how those kids responded. They didn't feel the pressure. U.S. has been up there year after year, but who expected them to win when they hadn't been together but for 10 games? And then she asked them to run their legs off because she had the philosophy, and she was absolutely right when everybody told her that she was wrong. She had the philosophy of, I cannot make a great team by having a lot of substitutes. These kids have got to play with each other so that they understand the cuts, they understand the system, they understand whatever it is that they need. And there'll be some others that might come in, but the majority of these kids played every minute of every game. If they didn't, they only got out for 5 or so minutes. So LaBelle didn't play the last game because she got injured, but she had been in there. But you have to have some other kids that you rely upon, and she did. And she was right on every part of the game. Something else you probably don't know was her father passed away about 2 months ago, and one of the things that he always wanted for her was to coach the Americans in the Olympics, and that was his wish. So not only did she do it, she did it in style and brought home a gold to the U.S. team, which hadn't had gold in 12 years. So those kids were so happy. she was happy for them. And I certainly think that a coach should get a gold medal, and she's the one that should definitely get it. Unfortunately, they do not give medals out to coaches, only to the athletes. So if you can tell I'm excited, I am, because I feel like U.S. soccer is on its way up. I sure hope she'll continue to coach them, because she's the coach that they needed. They loved her. She took the pressure off of them. She put it on herself. She took the responsibility, win, lose, or draw, for following her philosophy of soccer. And great kudos to the women's Olympic soccer team, and also great kudos for Emma Hayes, who stuck by her guns and did what she knew was best, and that was to play team soccer. So don't forget to subscribe below, and you'll see my enthusiasm even more on several other topics. So have a great day. Create that for yourself, and I'll talk to you later.